Okay, 18.10. Nadveshtya kushalam karma kushalena anusajjate tyagi sattva samavishto medhavi chinna samshayah. The intelligent renouncer, situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of auspicious work nor attached to neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. Okay. So he's an intelligent renouncer. Now, what does intelligent renouncer means? That he's not simply just renouncing everything for the sake of renouncing. He's situated in the mode of goodness. He's neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached. There's no doubts about work. But a person in Krishna consciousness or in mode of goodness does not hate anyone or anything which troubles his body. He does work in the proper place and at the proper time without fearing the troublesome effects of his duty. Such a person situated in transcendence should be understood to be most intelligent and beyond all doubts in his activities. So Prabhupada is very simply, he is saying person in mode of goodness means person in Krishna consciousness. He does not hate inauspicious work, meaning what is considered inauspicious? If it is giving us anything materially, something not good, then we think of it as inauspicious. But actually a Krishna conscious person is not really looking at what it is giving him or her. He is worried about what it is giving Krishna. If it is giving pleasure to Krishna, even if it externally seems like inauspicious work, he will still engage in it. So one simple thing we can think about, like for example, generally we said, okay, if you are not well, take rest. But somebody who is not well, but he or she is still engaged in Krishna service, provided it's within the limits of his or her body, then it's not hateful of that work, saying that, oh, my body is in this state, why am I still having to do this, that, and all that. He knows that it is for Krishna, so he's happy. So nothing is troublesome when it is linked to Krishna. But when it is linked to our own sense gratification, then we have to consider all these aspects of trouble and auspicious and inauspicious. So Prabhupada is making it clear. So he is the most intelligent person situated in transcendence, is the most intelligent, because he knows exactly what his duty is. Many times we keep getting confused, saying, should I do this? Should I not do this? For that, we should just apply this verse, Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishiti vishwaso gopritve varnam tata, atmanikshepa karpanyo shadvida saranagati, Anukulyasya sankalpaha. Whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, you do. Whether it is auspicious, inauspicious, that consideration is not required. It is favorable for Krishna consciousness, then you just do it. So it's very easy for us to know what we should do, what we should not do. We have to just keep applying. The problem is we don't want to apply. We want shortcut. Shortcut is not available. Every situation we only have to handle. So we should learn these concepts and we should apply them in our life. Okay. Nahi deha bhrata shakyam tyaktum karmanya sheshatah yastu karma phalatyagi satyagi tyabhidiyate. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. So one has to give up fruits of action. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that one can never give up work at any time. Therefore, he who works for Krishna and does not enjoy the fruitive results, who offers everything to Krishna, is actually a renouncer. See, if you see, the translation is talking about somebody who is renouncing fruits of action, but Prabhupada is talking about offering it to Krishna. So Prabhupada doesn't want us to remain in the modes. This is actually in the mode of goodness. But Prabhupada is actually saying, no, cross beyond mode of goodness. Come to Shuddha Sattva. There are many members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness who work very hard in their office or in the factory or some other place. And whatever they earn, they give it to the society. So when Prabhupada was there, people used to do this. They used to go earn, come and give it to Prabhupada. And what about Prabhupada? If he gave anything for them, they have, otherwise they don't have. They're happy. Such highly elevated souls are actually sannyasis and are situated in the renounced order. It's clearly outlined here how to renounce the fruits of work and for what purpose fruit should be renounced. Here it is only saying he who renounces. Prabhupada is now making it clear in the purport. Now we'll tell you for whom you should renounce and not whimsically. Renounce it for Krishna. So that is how we should see the connection between translation and purport. Prabhupada is explaining in the purport why he is giving such a commentary. Anishtam mishtam mishram cha trividam karmana phalam bhavatyattyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit. For one who is not renounced, threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, mixed, they accrue after death, basically karma phala. But those who are in the renounced order have no such result to suffer or enjoy. Those who are in the renounced order means those who have renounced the fruits. Those who renounce the fruits, for them there is no karma phala. Person in Krishna consciousness, acting in knowledge of his relationship with Krishna, is always liberated. Therefore, he does not have to enjoy or suffer again. This is, translation is with respect to one who has renounced the fruits. Prabhupada is saying, one who is Krishna conscious is anyway already liberated, so he doesn't have to enjoy or suffer results. Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibodhame sankhe kritante proktani siddhaye sarva karmanam. Almighty Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. And learn of these from me. So this is very important to know this next verse. Question may be raised that since any activity performed must have some reaction, how is it that a person in Krishna consciousness does not suffer or enjoy the reactions of work? The Lord is citing Vedanta to show how it is possible. He says that there are 5 causes for all activities, and for success in all activity, one should consider these 5 causes. Sankhya means stock of knowledge, and Vedanta is the final stock of knowledge, accepted by all leading acharyas. Even Shankara accepts Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, such authority should be consulted. The ultimate control is invested in the super soul. So this we'll get to know in the next verse. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha. He is engaging service everyone in certain activities by reminding him of his past actions. So we don't know what we were aspiring in our last life. But through as Paramatma, he reminds us, okay, this is what you are going behind last life. Now continue that search. And Krishna conscious acts done under his direction from within yield no reaction either in this life or life after death. So here, basically Prabhupada is saying that this is according to Vedanta. So Lord is citing Vedanta because it's authoritative. Then he's saying that one who is acting for Krishna, anyway, he has no reaction. And again, he's reiterating the same thing. Let there be 5 causes, etc. But if somebody is working for Krishna, then there are no reactions. But for others, they have to consider that there are 5 causes for any success of any work. Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha prutakvidam vividascha prutak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam. First is adhishtanam, sthanam, place, tata karta, worker, karanam, instruments, which is various senses, prutak vidam, and different kinds of vividaha, cheshtaha, and different kinds of endeavor, and daivam, super soul. These are 5 actors of action. So blindly, ignorant people think I am the doer. Why I am not the doer? Because actually where is I? The performer. I am only one of the 5 factors for action. And so I am not the sole responsible. So I can't be the reason for the result. So simple. And then somebody might say, body is also mine. Body is mine, but it has been given to me. So it's not actually mine in that sense. Various senses, how it behaves, how it acts, is also depends on our karma phala. It's not in my hands as such. Different kinds of endeavor, there might be more people involved, etc. That's not in my hands. And ultimately, super soul. The word adhishthanam refers to the body. The soul within the body is acting to bring about the results of activity and is therefore known as karta. The soul is the knower and doer is stated in the Shruti. Esha hi drishta srashta. It's also confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra. The instruments of actions are the senses, and by the senses the soul acts in various ways. For each and every action there is a different endeavor, but all one's activities depend on the will of the super soul, who is sitting within the heart as a friend. The Supreme Lord is a super cause under these circumstances. Who is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the super soul, he is naturally not bound by any activity. Those in completely Krishna consciousness are not ultimately responsible for their actions. Everything is dependent on the Supreme Will, the Super Soul, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, Prabhupada is saying, one who is in complete Krishna consciousness, meaning he is not doing anything for his sense gratification. He is doing it for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. For him, he is not responsible for his actions. And that is why also in Bhagavad Gita elsewhere it is said, and devotee is not affected by the results. I did preaching. And today, one of our, we had started a Gita Gyan. One person attended. We might feel discouraged, saying that, only one person attended, let me stop. Or even, in our this English study group, there are so many devotees, but hardly 8 to 10 people attend. So we don't, because we are not running behind results here. Of course, we should endeavor to get good results for Krishna's pleasure. But if there are no, that is why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was said, saying, even if there is nobody, there is a word, I'll speak to the walls. If that is a service, then that is a service. So, because we are doing for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, we are not responsible for our actions. Neither are we worried about the results. We will try our best, but leave it to the Lord. Again, purport is from a Krishna conscious perspective, how do we need to see? See, first I was thinking, saying that why Prabhupada is, why he is writing everything. Translation is saying something. Translation, nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. Why is he connecting everything to Krishna consciousness? Because it's a guide for devotees, practicing devotees. If a devotee now looks at this verse, what does he need to take out of it? He needs to read the purport and say, okay, I have to be only Krishna conscious. I don't have to worry about these 5, because anyway I'm in the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose Amsha is Super Soul. So practical application becomes very easy for us. Otherwise, we'll be breaking our head saying that how do I apply this verse in my life? So Prabhupada is making it easy for us that way. But somebody who is just reading Bhagavad Gita from an intent of just understanding this without context to bhakti, will feel that Prabhupada is unnecessarily connecting everything to bhakti. That is because he doesn't understand that the whole Bhagavad Gita is about bhakti only. And so Prabhupada is helping us understand how to really understand these verses in that context. Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchaite tasya hetavaha. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, speech is caused by these 5 factors, which means that Super Soul is also involved. Why? Because he is Anumanta Upadrushta. He has to give us permission. The words right and wrong are very significant. Right work is done in terms of prescribed directions, scriptures, which is dharma, and this is adharma, wrong, or vikarma. But whatever is done requires these 5 factors to it for its complete performance. So all of them are responsible together. Tatraivam sati kartaram Atmanam kevalam tuyaha pashyatyakrita buddhitvan na sa pashyati dhurmatihi. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the five factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Foolish person cannot understand that super soul is sitting as a friend and conducting his actions. Although the material causes are the place, the worker, endeavor, and the senses, the final cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should see not only the four material causes, but the supreme efficient cause as well. One who does not see the Supreme thinks himself to be the doer. So very simple. So we should never feel proud about anything, that we did something. We didn't do anything. We're just one of the reasons for the action. And more importantly, Super Soul wanted it to happen, so he allowed it to happen. Now, why does the Super Soul want something to happen? One is it could be based on our previous karma phala, or other, if we are surrendered to Krishna for some reason, Krishna is directing the Super Soul to allow this to happen, which only Krishna knows. Either way, it is completely in the mercy of the Supreme Lord. But then we should still know what is right, what is wrong. Even after our complete effort, if we end up doing something wrong, and that means that it's either my previous vasanas or Lord wants me to do this for some reason which I don't know. And that second one, Lord wants me to do this, is only for very elevated pure devotees who have 100% completely surrendered. Like initially we read, like Arjuna's senses were completely in the control of Krishna. So whatever Arjuna did, though it might look like why is my, why am I being made to kill my kinsmen? That is because Krishna's desire. But for us, mostly it will be Paramatma wants something to happen because it is based on our karma phala. Yasya na ahankrito bhavo buddhiryasya na lipyate hatvapi sa iman lokan nahanti na nibadyate. One who is not motivated by false ego, which means that he doesn't think he is the doer, whose intelligence is not entangled in that. Though he kills men, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions. So just the mindset, this is a complete thing on the mindset. If we think that I am not the doer, I'm being, all these five factors are making me eventually to do this, I'm not the doer, then I don't get any sin, even if a person kills. This word Lord informs Arjuna that the desire not to fight arises from false ego. So Krishna is here is saying that even if you kill all these men, don't worry, you are not bound by these actions because you are not acting based on false ego. Arjuna thought himself to be the doer of action, but he did not consider the supreme sanction. If one does not know that a super sanction is there, why should he act? But one who knows the instruments of work, himself as a worker and the Supreme Lord as a supreme sanctioner, is perfect in doing everything. Why? Because he will do everything for Krishna. Such a person is never an illusion. Personal activity and responsibility arise from false ego and godlessness. See, beautiful. Personal activity and responsibility arise because of false ego and godlessness, or a lack of Krishna consciousness. Anyone is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the Super Soul or Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though killing does not kill. Arjuna is killing, but he does not kill, nor is he ever affected by the reaction of such killing. When we read this statement, generally we might think, okay, some devotee is going around murdering people. No, why would devotee go around murder people? Then he can't be called a devotee. So devotee like Arjuna, because he's responsible, his job is to protect and kill. He is killing, but there's no reaction for him because he's doing it for Krishna's pleasure. When a soldier kills under the command of a superior officer, he is not subject to be judged. But if a soldier kills on his own personal account, then he is certainly judged by a court of law. So it's very clear. So if we are acting for our own self, for our own sense gratification, for our own end goal, then we are bound. But if we are acting for Krishna, then we never think of ourselves as the doers. So we will not be bound. Or even at a lower platform, somebody doing his action without thinking that he is the doer, that everything is happening based on these 5 factors, even he does not get entangled in reactions. And then what to say of person who is Krishna conscious? He will absolutely be on that platform. So nothing he does actually binds him. Okay, if anybody has any questions, you can please ask, because some of these is important to understand. Gnanam gneyam parignata trividha karma chodana karmanam karma karteti trividha karma sangraha. Knowledge, object of knowledge, and knower are the 3 factors that motivate action. Now Krishna is saying that we are talking about 5 reasons for action, results of action one should not be attached to, super soul is the final cause. Now he's saying, now how does one actually act? For one to act, there are 3 things. There is knowledge, object of knowledge, and the knower. They are the 3 factors that motivate action. Senses, work, and the doer are the constituents of action. So this is technical. One is what motivates action. Easy to understand. When we think about something, hear about something, that is knowledge. Based on that knowledge, then there's object of knowledge. Then I'm the knower, so I want to engage in that activity. Purport. There are 3 kinds of impetus for daily work. Daily work, Prabhupada is saying. Anything that we do. Knowledge, object of knowledge, and knower. The instruments of work, the work itself and the worker are called constituents. The instruments of work, that is senses, the work itself, and the doer, these are constituents of action. Like for example, if there is eating, then the mouth or tongue, then the eating work, and the person who is eating. These constitute action. But knowledge, like for example, I want to eat this kind of food. This is the food, and I am the knower of that knowledge. These motivate. These are motivators of action. Any work done by any human being has these elements. Before one acts, there is some impetus which is called inspiration. And this is knowledge. Any solution arrived at before work is actualized is a subtle form of work. Any solution arrived at before work is actualized. So for example, we think about there's a problem, we think about a solution. Now this solution is arrived at, but work has not been done. Work has not been actualized. Actualized means work has not been done. That is also a subtle form of work. Thinking about it is also a subtle form of work. So then work takes the form of action. So once we think, only then we end up acting. First, one has to undergo the psychological process of thinking, feeling, and willing, and that is called impetus. The inspiration to work is the same if it comes from the scripture or from the spiritual master. Now, Prabhupada is saying where from this impetus should come, where from this inspiration should come. It has to come from the scriptures or from spiritual master. If it is coming from our own minds, then it will mostly be vikarma or things that we should not be engaged in. When the inspiration is there and the worker is there, then actual activity takes place by the help of senses, including the mind, which is the center of all senses. The sum total of all constituents is called accumulation of work. Accumulation of work means karma, karma phala, karma sangraha. Here it is karma sangraha. So just Krishna is breaking this up, saying that, like there is this yuddha. So there is the object of knowledge is this war. Then there is knowledge, and you are the knower. And then your senses, your work and doer. So these are all involved in action. But the important thing is the inspiration. For what or why am I acting? That is the important thing. Rest of the things are just contributing towards the action. But the core reason is the inspiration. And the inspiration needs to be based on spiritual master or the scripture. So in that sense, Krishna is telling Arjuna, saying, Don't worry about the result. Think about why you are acting. And if that reason for action is correct, then you should go ahead and do the work. Jnanam karma cha karta cha hridaiva guna bhedataha prochate guna sankhyane yathavat chunnu tanyapi. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and performer action. Now Krishna is talking about this. Now he goes into this knowledge, there is action, and there's performer of action in three modes. In the 14th chapter, the three divisions of modes of nature were elaborately described. In that chapter, it was said that the mode of goodness is illuminating, the mode of passion materialistic, and the mode of ignorance conducive to laziness and indolence. All the modes are binding. They are not sources of liberation. Even in the mode of goodness, one is conditioned, because we get conditioned by mode of goodness. The 17th chapter, the different types of worship by different types of men in different modes were described. In this verse, the Lord says that he wishes to speak about the different types of knowledge, workers, and work. Of course, in the 17th chapter, we also looked at different kinds of food, different kinds of charity. All this we studied. Now there will be more discussions about these different modes in connection with action. So because all of these are linked to action, and Arjuna asked about action, tyaga, and sannyasa. Krishna is very detailed, in a detailed way, he's explaining how constituents of action, reasons, factors for action, all these things he's explaining. Now he's going to explain kinds of knowledge, action, and performer in three modes. How knowledge is in three modes, action in three modes, and kartru or performer of action in three modes. Okay, I think we'll stop here because this will again go into knowledge, three verses, and so on. Okay, so these verses are sometimes, we might feel that we might not completely understand all of this, but that is why the purport has to be read from a perspective of a devotee. From a Krishna conscious perspective, what we need to do is what is important for us. Otherwise we might get a bit lost with some of the details as to, I don't understand this completely, but it's not required as long as we are able to understand the practical application for us in life. Okay.
Prabhu, in verse 18,
yeah,
it says the inspiration to work is the same if it comes from the scripture or from the instruction of a spiritual master.
Yeah.
In our daily lives, like people like us, how does that apply?
Okay. So see, basically, two things to be understood. One is we are actually getting knowledge. Okay. So first, let's talk about who is a spiritual master. So there are two types of gurus. There is one which is called Diksha Guru, and then there is one more called Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru is one who gives knowledge, and Diksha Guru is one who gives Diksha. Now, what is Diksha? Diksha is a formal process of getting connected to a parampara, to authorized parampara. Okay. But people come to the stage of Diksha after they become serious in bhakti. Now, the Shiksha is knowledge. Now, if we see all of us, irrespective of how we came in touch with Krishna consciousness, we are all getting Shiksha from Prabhupada. So, Prabhupada is our Shiksha Guru. And now, what does it mean now to then follow his instructions is to read and understand what he's written in terms of purports in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and apply them in our lives. For example, if now Krishna is saying here that we should not be attached to the fruits of action, then we should apply it in our life. If he's saying that, for example, those who sleep more than 7 hours or 6 hours are in the mode of ignorance, we should cut down sleep. So pretty much if you see, whole of Bhagavad Gita is about application. There are instructions for all of us to apply in our life. When we do that, we are following both the scriptures and the spiritual master, who's Prabhupada. Because if you just read the scripture, which is if I read the verse, I cannot understand what it means for me, right? From a daily application perspective. But as Guru, Shiksha Guru, Prabhupada has actually explained, saying that, okay, this is the relevance of this verse for you in your day-to-day life. So please apply it. And if you see the consistent theme across is be Krishna conscious and do everything for Krishna's pleasure. And that is the central theme that Prabhupada upholds in all his purports. So when we read these, and that is absolutely that is the right question that you asked, that everything that we read in Bhagavad Gita must be about what does it mean to me? What do I do now? What do I do with this knowledge? And every verse has to be, we have to contemplate each and every verse with this question in mind. Otherwise, it will become a theoretical exercise. There's no point in just, I don't know if I mentioned this before. In material life, we have two things. We have knowledge and we have application of knowledge. For example, somebody might know that he should, stop when there is a red light, but he might choose not to stop. So there is gnana and vijnana. So he has the knowledge that he has to stop, but he might choose not to stop. But in the spiritual platform, there is no question of gnana and vijnana are not separate. If you have gnana, you should be applying it. Otherwise, you are considered as not having gnana. So when we are reading this knowledge, actually that knowledge, we don't have that knowledge till we apply that knowledge in our life. So every verse has to be understood from a perspective of practical application.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah.
And in verse 10, it says the intelligent renouncer, situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work or attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about the work. What does that mean? Like, has no doubts about the work?
I mean, he's not like, see, for example, if there is inauspicious work, then somebody will think, okay, I should not do this inauspicious work. Something is auspicious, somebody will think I should not do. But now what is the basis on which you decide inauspicious and auspicious? And that itself will now go into different people have different logic to say. So then you are confused. Then you don't know, this person is saying this is good, that person is saying this is not good. So what should I do? Right? Intelligent renouncer, he knows that whom am I doing this for? I'm doing this for Krishna. When I'm doing this for Krishna, then I know on what basis I will decide whether it is auspicious or not. For example, Arjuna's killing his kinsmen, if you look at it from his perspective, then it is inauspicious. Right? But if you look at it from Krishna's perspective, it is auspicious.
Auspicious, yes.
So now the whole platform changed suddenly. So we have to have the correct vision, right? From we say, right, vision of thought or vision of view, right? We have to know how to look at things. And every person in this material world pretty much has their own view of thought, right, about everything. If you go and tell somebody bhakti there, everybody will say I'm doing bhakti. Somebody will say I'm doing bhakti to my job, as in I worship my job. That is my bhakti. And everybody can be on their own platforms, right? What is good for you might not be good for me. So there has to be an absolute context. And the absolute context is to do it from Krishna conscious perspective. Understand it from Krishna's perspective. And then you won't have any doubt about whether you're doing right or wrong.
So in day-to-day life, whenever we are in doubt, we can always think, is this something that's going to please Krishna? And then decide whether it's good or not.
Absolutely. So we will discuss this in the purport to verse 66 of this chapter. So I briefly mentioned that Anukulyasya Sankalpa Pratikulyasya Varjanam. So this is what I use as a framework for decision making. I call it framework for decision making. Anukulyasya Sankalpa, whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, favorable for Krishna, favorable to whatever instructions have been given in Bhagavad Gita, that needs to be done. Whatever is not favorable should be given up. Okay. So now, for example, on a day-to-day basis, there will be so many things which are not favorable for Krishna consciousness, but it might be favorable from a material perspective, right? But that's then not the right yardstick to take the decision of whether I should do that or not. right? So, for example, somebody wants to go to a movie with friends. Right now, this movie is nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. Movie is just sense gratification. But then we might think, okay, no, but my friends will feel bad. So this is a material calculation. Now, in this material calculation, we might decide to go to the movie. But then it didn't help my consciousness. So if I'm Krishna conscious, then I'll say, okay, Anukulyasa Sankalpaha. Doesn't look like this is going to help my Krishna consciousness. Doesn't look like this is going to help please Krishna either. So I won't do this. Right? Initially, it is hard. It's tough for us to take these calls. But when we are clear what the framework is, then the reason for action becomes clear. Oh, it's not for my sense gratification. It is for Krishna's pleasure. Unless we think, okay, I'll go to the movie and I will preach to all my friends who are coming there. I will make them aware of Krishna consciousness. Then it is again for Krishna's pleasure. Then we can do it. But if I'm going to just see the movie and try to have fun, then that's not Krishna conscious. Then I don't have to do it. Right? So, which requires conviction in the words of Krishna, in what Prabhupada is saying. And one is conviction, the other is willingness to apply. When both these happen, then we become Krishna conscious. That is why I said, Jnana without Vijnana is useless on the spiritual platform. If I just have knowledge but I'm not applying it, then I'm as good as not having knowledge.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anybody else has anything else? Dandavad.
I have that question. Prabhuji mentioned Krishna conscious person is not bound by his activities. So supposing Prabhuji, we as sadhakas, practicing devotees, we are not so pure and perfect. So many times we feel that we commit such activities. We also have anger, some bad habits. So how do we justify, if we think that I am practicing Krishna consciousness, I'll not be accountable for these activities, then it is cheating. So I don't understand this.
Yeah, I mean, when we are saying we are practicing Krishna consciousness, like I said again, practicing means that putting it into actual practice, just not having knowledge. Now we just have knowledge saying that, okay, if I do it for Krishna's pleasure, then I am not the doer. But if I am doing some nonsense activity, then how can it be for Krishna's pleasure? Then I am the doer, as in, I'm saying then I'm not living life acting on that platform. So that verse doesn't apply to me. So there's no question of justification.
Prabhuji, I'll give you some example. You are in a situation you're surrounded by some materialistic people or non-devotees, and you vent out your anger or frustration on them because they are not allowing you to practice something, or they are blaspheming things and you also get angry and frustrated. So that is the situation.
No, but that's not.
When you are angry, you are out of your mind. You don't know who's the doer and things like that. So I feel I am cribbing inside at times because they don't understand philosophy, and I feel that I understand. I feel it's also wrong on my part. Pure bhogi kind of mentality people are having around.
Yeah, that's
you will be socially cut off, or you'll nobody will like to be with you the way you are following them. So I feel that what is the difference if I get angry? So I need to overcome that.
Yes. So two things here, Mataji. One is, see, if you, Hanuman, if now somebody goes and questions Hanuman saying that, why did you go and burn Lanka? You should have controlled your anger. I mean, I'm not interested in your philosophy. I did it because it's going to please Rama. Right? Now, see, if we are displaying anger, Shastra says, saying that when somebody is blaspheming Krishna or blaspheming Krishna's devotee, you have all the right to get angry. No, but however, we are living in a society. Okay? And we're living in a society, we are not playing a T20 match. Please understand. We are playing a test match. Okay? We don't go, we have to use some intelligence and we have to decide how much I want to react for what. Because we don't end up doing one which will create a lot more problems for us in our practice of bhakti. No, and Krishna knows our situation. Krishna is not looking at us saying that this is a loser, as in he or she didn't stand up for me. No, he knows, because if we go do something like, you just said, shouting at somebody, what will it do? It'll just worsen the situation for us. It'll just make it more difficult for us to practice bhakti. It'll make it.
You are practicing bhakti and see yourself. Like,
No, but
they create circumstances to provoke you, and if you get angry, then they tell that like, what is the difference? You are practicing
which is correct also at one level, because we should be tolerant, but they don't understand saying that I'm being intolerant for some nonsense that you are saying, which is blaspheming Krishna or his devotee. But we cannot explain this. So it's important that, see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry at Jagai and Madhai. Right? Now, obviously, somebody can question saying, oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only became angry. Yeah, because it was in connection with a devotee. He couldn't tolerate it. No, but we can't explain this to the general public, right? So we should manage this. See, this is the beauty about Krishna consciousness. By doing this, if I'm creating a wrong name for a Krishna's devotee, saying that people now are saying, no, Krishna's devotees are useless, So now I'm creating a big black name for Krishna's devotees. So now in the bigger interest of that, I might try to control my anger and maybe manage the situation. And Shastra also says, saying that if you're, it depends on your varna, dharma and all that. You can just leave the place. If you're a Kshatriya, you should cut off, the other person said, right? But if you're a Brahmana, then you use Shastric knowledge and defend. If you're Shudra, you just leave the place. Or also some places they say you give up your body, but we don't give up our body because the body is not ours. Body is Guru and Krishna's, right? So we want to engage it as much as possible in his service, and he knows our helplessness and situation we are in. He wants to just see that we are fixed in Krishna consciousness, irrespective of the situation. See, the interesting part with difficult situations, when we are faced with difficult situations, is that we have to become more and more surrendered to Krishna. And more surrendered to Krishna means that internally, like, we have to have that mood. Externally, we don't worsen situations, which will make it more difficult to even do basic sadhana. It is like, another way of explaining this is, for example, somebody doesn't want to work. Okay, they don't want to work, they want to do Krishna consciousness. But now, if you don't work and you don't have a way for your living, how can you be Krishna conscious? You won't have food to eat, then unless you're some exalted devotee, anybody will be super disturbed, right? That they cannot even do normal bhakti. So we don't end up putting ourselves into a situation which creates a lot more disturbance to us than otherwise. So this all requires intelligence, right? And we have to handle situations accordingly. There isn't, if you go 100% based on Shastra, we might have to act in a particular way, but situations are different. Each and every person's situation is different. Like, if we are in such a, non-conducive environment, you don't make it worse. Don't make it worse, because see, by getting angry, what are we achieving?
Yeah, we are affecting our sadhana
only. It'll just create, and in fact, other reason I keep telling there's another devotee also who has this kind of problems, and I say, see, by you shouting, you are creating more reasons for those individuals to offend Krishna and his devotees. You are pushing them down to hell more by you getting angry, right? So you're not doing them any service. In fact, Krishna will be more upset with them. He will push them to hell, right? Because they're doing nonsense with a devotee. So don't also think about it saying that, why do I want to push this person to hell? Actually want those people to learn. When will they learn? When they will look at us and say, this person is so tolerant, irrespective of all the nonsense I'm doing. He or she is so tolerant. Then they'll think, okay, Maybe something that he or she is doing is really out of the world. But if you are just like a drop of a hat, we are shouting, losing our temper, will say, what is this? Useless. And then they will blaspheme Krishna, blaspheme Prabhupada, blaspheme us, blaspheme everybody. Make sure that they'll go to hell faster. So many considerations are there. That's why I'm saying it's not like we can't like, I'm not giving a judgment on this, saying that what kind of situation, maybe there are certain situations where you have to, retort. Maybe there are others where you don't have to do anything. So it totally depends on individual situation. I'm giving multiple considerations for you to factor in and decide what you need to do, because I don't know really what your personal situation is.
And Prabhuji, one more line came in one perfect. Personal activity and responsibility comes from false ego. Could you elaborate this?
So see, basically when personal activity, right? When I'm doing something for myself, that is personal activity. Otherwise, it is Krishna conscious activity. Personal activity, when we do, automatically comes a responsibility, because we become now responsible for our action. But when we are doing for Krishna, then it's not personal activity. It is activity, Krishna's activity, that we become an instrument. It's not for me. It's not a personal activity. Then
it's not in the positive sense, like if we are taking responsibility for something.
No. Responsibility means I'm responsible for my action. Yeah. So when we work for Krishna, we are not responsible for our action. He is responsible.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, nice. I mean, deeply reading each and every statement, trying to understand. That's what the whole intention of this study. Once in a while, I get more inspired, saying that, okay, somebody is going into the depths. Okay, anything else, or should we close? Okay, there's nothing. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Antakoti Vaishnavanda ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you everybody for joining.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.